Okay, so the idea of persona is something quite commonly associated, I think, with UX and marketing. It's pretty clear. It's been documented in various things if you look online.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. But there's also an element that if you look at the little information is available online around how US West Coast, IT West Coast companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, how they actually run the interview process. If you go through their documentation, at some point they always talk about some elements that they're always looking for in potential candidates. We haven't invented anything. People are using this. And yes, the term it comes primarily from UX and marketing, all right, to make it look like if it's a real person, just effectively just a blueprint of features of how people score according from different metrics, really.
Look, I'm just on the fly. Just you've actually just prompted something. You're talking about certain like specifics about what you're really looking for, right?
When we started and we did some volume hiring together, I remember that that's when the engineering persona kicked in as a necessity to be able to actually do quality at scale. And the idea was that how we got to it, we were interviewing people and we were on the same page, but then we thought, okay, why are we on the same page? What are we actually looking for? And let's just systematize that, put it down in writing so that it's actually it's transferable. Other people can do it. I mean, I can tell you a little bit about what I'm usually looking for, right? In terms of candidates when I'm hiring, if they're supposed to work with me, it's just a little bit my persona. It doesn't actually has to be taken as a gospel. Far from it. For example, the first element that I always look for is motivation. Why are people actually deciding to change their job?
Yep.
Why they are a developer? What prompt them to become a developer? I like to dig a bit deep in this because it actually tells you a lot about the personality and obviously helps weed out people that are purely, they have a purely, salary driven mentality where obviously hiring those kind of candidates it has a drawback that they have a very limited, extremely limited kind of skin in the game. I like people with a level of curiosity that they always like to look into how to improve things, and obviously that's another question that I always ask. You've been in your job for X years. What have you improved? Another key element for me is how to people deal with feedback. You'll be surprised when on a open-ended question around how do you actually deal with dissent in your company, you will get such a wide range of answers where by looking at the wording that people use in describing this, more or less harsh, more or less, friendly, you realize how a lot of people actually really can't deal with dissent and they struggle with feedback. I mean, this is a problem across the board, but in reality, having people on board that are a bit too hot-headed creates a lot of havoc in teams. So you wanna know that someone can take some negative feedback. I obviously look for people with knowledge because if you can't code, then you're not a software engineer and capable of a flawless execution. But having said that, over time I've realized that the technical stuff is the easy stuff. And over time, starting from a process where I would hire 90% based on technical and 10% based of interpersonal skills, I now hire more on a 50-50 basis. And I recommend all the people that work with me to do the same. And the reason is because the technology changes quickly. And if people have a right attitude, they can pick them up as quickly. If they don't have a right attitude, if they don't play with a team, then there's no point, right? They will push back on changes just for the sake of it, for example. So yeah, that's my example, but there can be many others, right? I like people with entrepreneurship, for example. Now, not everybody likes the idea of hiring software engineers that in the future will want to start their own company or are running a little startup on the side. But I do like that. I do like that because it shows a level of independence and shows a level of wanting to make things better that I am happy to deal with. And obviously, that comes with a drawback that people will actually show more dissent towards your ideas. because everyone who wants to start a company thinks they can do it better than the people they're working with, and that's absolutely normal. And so, if you're happy with to deal with dissent and to have people that are actually truly trying to rock the boat, that's a good indicator from my perspective.
Gotcha. Yeah, good points. And look, I agree. I think, and you've shared a really good example from an engineering, sort of hiring perspective and decision making standpoint, because you've got the insights of, what's going on with the team, how to manage the team, and you really know end to end what that looks like. And I think when we've been collaborating in the past at scale, just at a very high level, to back you up there is, you're looking for basically a level of ability, a level of attitude, a level of aptitude, definitely, but it's a balanced effect.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.